All right, good evening, everyone. We'll call a meeting to order, Conservation Board, Town of Victor at 6:32. Welcome, everyone. My name is Pat Coleman, Chair. We have some folks from the community, I think, tonight. Gentleman from, assume the Bluestone Trail project as well. Alongside me, Matt Madison, Board Member Keith Paris, and Norman. We'll review the project. One and only project for us to review tonight, the Bluestone Trail final, 7200 Rawson Road. And applicant is requesting approval to develop 59 for sale multifamily townhome house units on a 18.5 acre parcel and will provide approximately 74% open space. Project will consist of two private roads off the north side of Rawson Road. We had a chance to review this project 2 weeks ago. Had some discussion around easement language, which I understand is our purpose for tonight. Sorry, remind me your name.
Ryan Destro,
Ryan.
the Associates.
Ryan, thanks for joining us. If you don't mind just kind of providing some update on it. We had some discussion a couple weeks ago regarding easement and
Yep, I saw the meeting minutes from your last meeting. It looks like two topics were the majority of the meeting was two topics discussed: the fill and then the easements. And we do have an update on the fill. A geotechnical report and analysis was done and completed and submitted to the town on May 8th, a few weeks ago. There was approximately 10 test holes done, and the results of the geotechnical report in the conclusion, after following analysis of the soils, it states, in conclusion, the fill soils present on site are clean, free of organics and debris, and suitable to withstand the proposed design loads for the floor slabs and roadway. We recommend that strip footings and structural walls for each townhouse extend through the fill and bear on the native soils. And then there's multiple recommendations in it. One I'll highlight is that they recommend the owner should retain an independent test agency to perform periodic observation of the mass fill placement and backfilling operations. And then upon completion of the fill placement, we recommend that the testing agency submit a letter certifying that the work was performed in accordance with this report. So I think that should satisfy any of the concerns regarding the fill.
Yeah, I think so. I think there was the question, will there be more fill coming in or what's there is?
So the fill permit that was granted a couple of years ago was approved for importing approximately 42,000 cubic yards of fill. I think the previous fill operations, the most recent ones, brought in about 9. But modifications to the site grading allowed us to reduce the import. So I don't have an exact number, but the import will be significantly less than as approved, but it will be within the approved amount. I would definitely say.
So more to come, but still within the limits.
Correct. It's anticipated that there will be some additional fill potentially required, but minimal when compared to the overall 42,000 cubic yards.
Okay.
Based on the modifications to the grading.
Do you mind just a quick overview of any earth movement that you foresee within the project?
It would be typical site earthwork operations. So you'd be balancing out the fills and the cuts on the site according to the approved grading plan.
Okay.
I don't really have more than that. I mean, there will be some material generated from the stormwater management pond, bioretention area, and then the way the site has been graded, the northern units along the trail walk out. There's some units that walk out along the pond too. So we're trying to minimize the fill required on site to reduce the import as much as possible.
You don't need to do any work over near the wetlands or anything, right? You can avoid all that.
Yep.
I mean,
the grading plan shows how we're avoiding the wetland area with the proposed grading. The construction erosion control plan shows how silt fence, double rows of silt fence will be placed along the 100-foot adjacent area buffer to the wetland. So all disturbance is proposed outside of the wetland limits, therefore no permitting is required from the DEC.
The question I had, you just answered it, trying to resolve the actually on-site material.
Additional questions regarding the fill?
Yeah, I think that covered it. Thank you.
Any from the folks or guests?
Was some of the fill in the previous meetings because of past uses of the lot?
I'm sorry, say again.
Were some of the concerns on the fill because of previous uses of the lot?
We understood it that there were, I believe, two sort of batches of fill over the years, and so I think that was the concern, is that it had been just, dropped over the years, and so therefore in question as a result. That was my understanding, at least. I don't know
And
before
the
this.
need for the fill, I don't think had to do with the existing land, any sort of contamination or anything like that, or literally to raise it.
Sufficiently above natural water table?
Yeah, but also closer to the road, and you're familiar how it dips down there. Yeah, so more just bringing it up.
I saw some of that. I'm new to the area here, but I saw a lot of that. It's obvious that there's been fill there added, but I wasn't sure if that was left over from cleanup from a previous.
No, that was brought in specifically.
Is this gonna be the first development on that lot, or was there once another?
To my understanding, it's the first. I thought it was just kind of native,
Right.
and then
Yeah.
filled
There's
on
an
it.
existing building on the,
The 7200 building?
yep,
That's coming down, right?
No,
No,
it's proposed to remain. The
okay.
users propose is acknowledged that they intend to stay, so nothing that I'm aware of would change with that operation of that building.
So for the conservation easement, that was the other, the language, so maybe, what is the applicant's kind of vision for that?
So
Green space, and what are they hoping to accomplish?
what the applicant has relayed to me is their preference for the least restrictive easement possible. And that they don't necessarily, from what I understand, they don't have any concrete plans in place, but they just want the flexibility to allow future operations. Potentially a natural surface trail or a bench or something on it. Nothing, I don't envision them mowing or anything per se, but they'd like the ability to remove dead fallen trees, if possible, stuff like that. But the intent is for it to be a forever wild area that, could potentially be utilized for the residents of the community for active or passive recreation, but no solid plans are set yet. They just want the flexibility to allow for that.
Understood. I did speak with a code enforcement officer who indicated that any DEC area that's designated as wetlands, we can't have an improved.
It would be
footpath.
without a permit, if anything was to be done in a trail or something, then potentially it may require permitting, but nothing is proposed at this point. So you just want flexibility should they choose to do some improvements to it, be a natural surface trail or something along those lines in the future.
Got it.
Just I'm not overly concerned with if they want to be community garden or something in the future. I guess my concern is with there being the DEC Island area, and I'm not familiar with the code on that, but would it require different set of markings? Would you have to mark the conservation easement as well as the wetlands? And that's my worry, is that there's, different things allowed on different pieces of the land, and is there confusion and that sort of thing.
So this isn't like a designated mitigation area or anything that would require easement over it from the DEC's perspective. The conservation easement proposed was just retaining that portion of the property in its natural state. It's a benefit to the town, it's a benefit to the community to have less development in that portion of the site. There is the wetland, so the markers will establish the border of it. And then I think, you know, in the future, if anything was to be done on it, I think it would be worked out between the HOA and the town of Victor.
Just ask where the conservation easement is being projected.
So it's just to the left or west of that of the stormwater management area and the access road that's right there shaded. So it's in between the buffer of the wetland and the edge of the pond limits basically, and then projects down to Rossin Road.
I see.
If you have the full
Yep.
plan set there, the next page.
Not include that one.
Yeah.
I don't have.
Would you mind? Oh, I can give a rough.
Yeah, that.
I have to see.
So this is the line. Stays outside of, that's the only reason there's a slight jog in it. Is because of the way the 100-foot buffer bubbles out.
You want the conservation
Yep.
easements this way and then
Correct.
out to Rawson.
Yep, so it's the western portion of the parcel, just the west of the area. Encompasses approximately 7.17 acres, I believe.
That's a road. Yeah, that's a road. It's a way for vehicles to get to the pond if they need to. It's basically a stream.
Yeah, that's a requirement of the DEC stormwater management design manual provides access to the pond and the outlet structure.
Yes. I don't remember if the line was straighter last time or if that was our comments, but this looks
Yeah.
much better now, right? You just
We haven't changed it.
Oh, no? Okay. One point I thought there was some
I
jogs.
think for a while we were following the
The
DEC
100, yeah,
actual easement.
yeah. But that should be easy to mark, easy for residents to see and acknowledge, so I should be like that.
Thoughts on the
Hey. My opinion, I wouldn't have a problem if they were gonna, if they wanted to allow themselves to add paths in the future, unimproved paths. I really don't, personally, I wouldn't want to see anything more than that in there. Wouldn't want more motorized vehicles, I want, we could do seasonal mowing if needed.
So I noticed like, going between the three of
Yeah.
them. The only reason I would hesitate on the motorized vehicles, if they're, because one had a provision like that they would allow it only for like removing dead trees or something like that.
Mhm.
Not for active use or anything, no snowmobiles or four-wheelers, it would be to clean up something.
Yeah.
So flexibility for that, I think. The language, I think, would need to be worked out, basically between the applicant and their attorney and the town's attorney and the town staff as well.
Not positive, New York State DEC will allow. That they're very,
Not within the wetland
right,
area.
you gotta be very careful of that wetland area.
Yep.
That's what code was trying to.
yeah.
Right.
Right.
Which.
Yeah, and in all of the easements, there is that statement, no changes should be made to the topography of the land. Constituting the easement area, blah, 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 of any wetlands, water courses, floodplains, so. But the
Any
standard
trails-
boilerplate for all three of them at least include that language, and
Yeah,
we're not proposing anything in the wetlands.
so any trails, even any footpaths you would want to have would be close to Rawson anyways, then I would think, right? Because everything else is spoken for. So it would be pretty
Sort of limited.
limited anyways, just by the parcel and the wetland on it, so.
That you're understanding, Brian.
What's that?
Are they looking for more of that sort of parallel to Rawson strip? Or beyond that?
It's really, there's no plans for anything at this point. It's really just to allow them flexibility to work any improvements with the town. Sure. The HOA.
So I'd say from our perspective, we would be, I think, open. Unimproved. Walkways or
Paths,
surface areas
yeah.
or paths, but obviously with regard to the DEC.
Yeah.
Requirements and
Any of the DEC requirements would be followed if there was anything in place projected in wetland.
we then need a site specific,
I think we need site specific
Right.
then.
I'm guessing.
Is that way we actually have to go piece by
Line by line.
line by line and say, yes, this, no, this, yes, this, no, this, right? I mean, probably start with the most restrictive language and then just kind of back out, allow the footpaths.
Yeah, do we have,
And I would say footpaths,
oh, good, that's right.
you know, the only reason you'd really need to remove deadfalls is if you had the footpaths. Without the footpaths, no one's back there,
Right.
let nature do its thing. If you put the footpaths, then you'd have to remove deadfalls.
I like this course of action. Site specific.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that.
Right, could you work with the developer to establish what they want and don't want, and then bring that? Propose that?
Yeah.
The site specific.
Yep, I mean, I'll have them review the language for the site specific and allow them to make any markups or provide their input as necessary, and the
Great.
town can review that. Go from there.
Sounds good. You know, from the board.
Just one question, you're recommending site specific and not natural resource or anything like that?
I would say so, yeah, at this point. We originally did natural
Mhm.
resources, but I think with regard to allowing, I mean, some footpaths where they could be, I think would be open for us. Unless I hear you guys differently.
Yeah, I think, you know, most restrictive, but allowing the establishment of footpaths. And is site specific the cleanest way for us to get there? That's sort of where my head was at, but if you'd rather modify the natural resource, that's fine too. It's the site specific usually gives you more options to select option A or B.
Just so that the planning board is clear on which one you want.
Got it.
Mhm.
Sorry for our confusion.
Hmm?
Sorry for any confusion.
Oh, no, that's right.
Brian, another question that was posed our last meeting, will there be a gate at the end of that? Access road there, just purely out of curiosity.
None is proposed at this point, no.
Okay,
And what is it? Is it just a crusher? Or is
Yeah,
it
so-
just a leap below the grass sort of thing, so you can get equipment in there? I've seen those before.
So it's a stone, it's a gravel stone pathway. It's
Okay.
12 feet wide, you know, a backhoe or a piece of equipment could get on there to clean out the pond if necessary or modify the outlet structure, so it's really for that purpose.
And does it just extend right from the road? It's like, so is there any barrier at the end of the road?
None is proposed.
Okay, so the road ends, there's nothing there, it just
Yeah.
turns into gravel.
Yeah, and there is a full turnaround provided there at the end of the road as well.
Oh, at the end of the paved road?
Yes.
Yeah, gotcha. Probably some kind of signage or something
oh, it's just
to stop people from continuing down the gravel road
into the well.
next to the wetland.
Swamp.
I mean, it's kind of out of our purview anyways, but
Yeah,
disappointing.
All right,
That's all I got.
any commentary from the, please, Dave?
The shed or the trail. Does anybody have any idea how large that is? And if they bring in trucks or something, because they're gonna store equipment. You have a place to park and store it, and who takes care of it, maintains it? Just curious.
So that shed is not really, I mean, it's on the subject property, but it's not associated with the applicant at all. It was, a parcel allocation for the Victor Hiking Trails Association, so they could use it. They've requested, I think, the 2 parking spaces, and we provided the 2 parking spaces.
Okay.
At the northern end, next to that.
Fair enough. Any other questions?
All right, thank you.
All right, you're welcome. All right, thanks for the overview.
Yeah, thank you for
We
your
look
time.
forward to that easement language from the applicant. That and the next step. Just curious, any timeline perspective?
On the easement language,
Uh,
I mean, the next step is we have the planning board meeting next Wednesday for final subdivision approval, so. It could, in theory, grant conditional approval pending, certain conditions, i.e. Address the town engineers and staff comments. Have the easement in place, stuff like that.
got it. Well, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, move on to other business approval of May 6th. I missed the comments.
There was the comment in, Amber said she'd updated it, but at least it wasn't updated in the Dropbox, so, but the minutes stated that the pump house was in the conservation easement, but it is not. So once that's corrected, and it may be corrected now, they look good to me.
On the correction, those details, they have a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Norman,
I'd second
second,
that.
by Mr. Madison, in favor?
Aye.
Abstentions?
Oh, I can't see anything.
All right,
That was the
that's
precedent.
Fair enough. Any other
You know,
questions from the community? Folks? Thanks for joining. Appreciate it.
Motion we adjourn?
Motion we adjourn at 6:55. Mr. Madison, a second.
Only the question words.
Norman, all in favor?
Oh, yeah.
Aye. All right, 6:55. Speeding. All right. fair enough.
Thank you.
Yeah, huh? You made good time.
And what you see